We now have many black people who walks around insisting that they're woke because they've read the Willie Lynch literature, totally clueless of the fact that they're among the most ignorant and most misinformed among us. The worst enemy of the oppressed is not ignorance, it's actually false knowledge. Because an ignorant person might continue to seek out the truth, but a person with false knowledge, believing that his false knowledge is true, stops searching for the truth and therefore becomes mentally enslaved by the false knowledge. The Willie Lynch story is false knowledge that is believed by those that are profoundly ignorant. Because that myth presents what would in fact be the least effective method used for controlling generations of millions of people. Believing that we're being controlled by Willie Lynch is equivalent to believing that Santa Claus comes down our chimneys and gives us gifts. It's simply not how true brainwashing is achieved. The problem has never been a damn silly slave syndrome myth. It has always been the white oppressor's ability to spread disinformation into the black communities that manipulates many of us to think collectively in ways that serve the system of white supremacy. Case, point, and proof. Through their bitter, twisted, racist lies, white oppressive forces have so negatively distorted the image of black people that it has caused many black people to become contemptuous towards our own racial group. And as a result of this fact, nowadays, whenever we black revolutionary types attempt to confront the system of white supremacy, we're forced to first fight against those black people that have been brainwashed to defend it. This scenario that clearly benefits the white society was deliberately designed by the white society through their monopoly over information that are systematically and repetitively fed into black communities. Those black people who don't critically think never notices their mental change. This is why those of us who know the truth must teach African proverb. Every black person that thinks negatively about our racial group does so because of information that comes exclusively from white sources. All black societal narratives, statistics, and even mainstream media images are controlled exclusively by white people. The white society therefore literally owns black people's perception of ourselves. White social scientists determined a long time ago that by hiring white propagandists to negatively distort virtually all information that black people believes about ourselves, they could create black self-hatred and disunity, which attacks the core foundation of what bonds us as people, and we could then be ruled over forever. The ultimate objective is to demoralize black people to such an extreme extent that we begin to doubt our own ability to govern ourselves. And then we give up the idea of liberating ourselves because we've been made to believe that there's something inherently wrong with us and that we therefore need whites to govern over our lives. White social scientists describe this nefarious brainwashing tactic as merely instilling a value system into the collective subconscious minds of millions of black people that serves and protects the system of white supremacy. As I said before, those black people who don't critically think never notices their mental change. White governments don't want intelligent, critical thinking black populations. They instead want black populations that are just smart enough to work, pay taxes, and fight within all of the white society's wars, but that are dumb enough to not only believe in a silly slave syndrome myth, but in fact that are also dumb enough to proudly call themselves niggers and bitches. Dumb enough to call their women bitches and hoes. Dumb enough to get their morals from a Bible written by the most moral people we've ever encountered. Dumb enough to believe that a Bible written by history's proven most ungodliest group of people could possibly contain the true words of God. Dumb enough to believe that a Bible brutally beaten into submission within the blood-soaked minds of our enslaved ancestors will now ridiculously set us free. And dumb enough to believe that we're our worst enemies, in spite of a brutally horrific history proving that white oppressive forces are in fact our worst enemies. Not because many people believe things to be true doesn't make those things true. It most often means that they've all accepted the same mental enslaving lies. Therefore, they go from their cradles to their graves, having lived their entire lives believing mental enslaving lies, having lived and died being the white society's mentally enslaved black fools. A speaker of truth has no friends. African proverb. The time of believing in things that insults our own intelligence is over. Now, usually people have a right to believe what they want to believe, but there's an profound exception to this rule when it comes to the oppressed. The oppressed must function based upon what is true, because if our understandings are flawed, then all liberating remedies that stem from those misunderstandings will also be flawed. This is the reason why white oppressive forces spread so much negative disinformation into our community to keep us confused, because they don't want us to gain the truth that is necessary in order to develop the proper counter strategies that are required to liberate ourselves. This is why those who know must teach. The time of believing in dumb shit is over. One love and peace. I come for those who are tired of believing in things that insult their own intelligence. One love and peace.